Well, Brent, one of the most powerful aspects of Cherish is, like you had hinted on before, is uh, the power of which you guys do on an individual basis, and that you change lives. And I remember when I brought our team over there, there was a young girl. She was probably about 12 years old, who had just showed up like a day or a couple of days before our team had arrived there. And you remember her, right? She had a bald head. She was way taller than all the other Cherish kids. Tell us a little bit about her and her story.
Yeah, she had come from a place called Camp Rangisa. And Camp Rangisa is a children's prison in Uganda. I've been there, and I've been to actually a lot of prisons in the States, just on tours and ministry and what. And I've also been to a lot of really bad places, and prisons are bad. And I've been to a lot of like terrible experiences and terrible places that I've stepped into. And this was by far the worst place I've ever been.
What made it so bad?
Children with no clothes on, like naked. They're sleeping on just cement floors. They're going to the bathroom in the corners of the building. They got one small little bowl of porridge, think like a watery oatmeal, cream of wheat kind of thing a day. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. And we rolled in there, and I had a guy with a guitar, and we played some games. We did children's ministry. We did Timber Kids. We played some songs, and these kids, like, you'd have thought we walked them into Disneyland, and remarkable. But anyways, that girl was from that place.
Okay.
Somebody had got her out. I don't know how. She had been there for 7 years, and sexual abuse there, like just terrible, terrible place. And so when she first came to us, she was nonverbal. She would just take off running, just wing, and you'd hear like the house mom yelling, she's running, and everyone's like, where is she going? Security, got to get her. It's pretty crazy. Well, then we started having her meet with our counselor. And for 3 months, she'd show up because, the house mom would take her, sit her down at this outdoor picnic table in front of the counselor for 3 months. She just sat there, would say nothing. And then something clicked. I don't know. The counselor would talk to her, and we were praying for her and, doing all the things you think you should do. And then after that 3-month period, something clicked. And every week she'd come to that counseling session, and she would then just sit there and cry.
Wow.
Silent tears coming down her face. And then something clicked again, and she started speaking, and she started sharing about her past and her future. And so then our social work team at that point is engaged and tried to figure out, okay, so now we found out where she's from, and she explained, and we knew she was from the north. We could tell by the way she looked. And so we started searching out and driving up like 8-9 hours away to figure out where she lived. And this one particular time, we feel like we have got it pinpointed. Like our social workers, like detectives, try to sort out all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And they figure that this is the house. And so and they're working through with her. Do you want to meet your mom and find your mom again? And yada, yada, yada. Because what had happened was she was working as a street girl, begging, and mom would come in and drop her off at this bridge. And then mom would go work. We don't know what she did. And then this girl would go beg in the streets. And then at the end of the night, they'd meet back on the bridge. Well, one day she shows up, mom's not there. And so then at that point, she became homeless on the street begging. So she hadn't seen her mom in a long time, many, many years. And so she says, yes, I want to meet my mom. And they work through all that. Well, they drive up, they get to they think the house. And because she had said, I remember what the house looks like, and and they say, is this the house? He's like, no, that's not the house. Are you sure? Like, we've done all this work. This has got to be the house. No, this is not the house. And they're like, oh, so they drive around, and then they eventually drive all the way back home. Well, comes out in the counseling session, the girl says, that actually was the house.
Oh my goodness.
I was afraid You're going to basically open the car door, push me out, and drive away. We're like, wait, that's what we talked about. So they end up going back up there and they knock on the door. And this woman answers the door, and it's not her mom, but it's actually her grandmother. And her grandmother realizes who she is. And she says, your mom is actually working out in that field. And so they then walk out in that field. And when that mom sees her, like, boom, fall on the knees, tears, the whole thing. Here's the sad part about that story currently is we did reunite her, but then there was a pastor in her village that basically convinced her to say, you know what, you don't need to stay with your mom. You should come live with me. And so we kind of walked some of that through with her. Like, that's a bad choice. It's like, that's not how but she ended up doing so. And now, currently she's not living with that pastor anymore. And she's selling phones in this little village. She's living with her mom or her grandmother and kind of in and out. She occasionally will text me. So I bet every couple months I hear from her.
Okay.
We respond in text back and forth. And, she says she's doing well, selling phones. And so she's an adult now, and so it's a hard thing to step into an adult's life and say, what are you doing? But we still are doing our best to help her make some good choices. So I'm very connected to her. We officially closed our file. Legally, we can't have a file open on her anymore because she's an adult, but we're still in a relationship and still trying to help her navigate life. There's just so many crazy stories, and some of them have amazing ending, and you're like, there's terrible. Like, you do as much as you can, but the truth is, people still make their own choices.
Yeah.
Or that it's we're not sure. It's still a story that's still unfolding, and we're thankful for the part we played in her life, and continue to play, and continue to pray that what we invested in her will bear fruit.
Yeah.
The story's not over. The book's not finished.
That's so good. Thanks for sharing that.